So,
Uh,
what was your experience like when you actually got to jail? Like, did you fit in pretty well? Were you dealing with a whole bunch of people fucking with you, or were you able to
well,
hang pretty well?
at first, some people try to, test me a little bit with certain things, but for the most part, I fit in, man. I got into everyone says don't gamble and stuff like that. Well, that's what I got into big time. It's within a couple months I was gambling hardcore, and I've always liked to play cards and dice and stuff like that. So, I always tell people on my channel, try to learn how to play cards and stuff before, if you're on bond and you're about to go in, because that's really the only thing that you got to do in there, man.
Mm.
Read, play cards, gamble, whatever the case is. Watch, the community TV or whatever until you go to prison. But if you're not gonna play cards, you can really fit into the system, and I loved it, man. And that was honestly how I got into the mix of everything.
I
Started to
love I love cards and I love poker, so that actually sounds that's the only relief that I could imagine about prison is like, well, shit, if I get to play a lot more cards, then I guess it couldn't be all bad.
yeah. Some of my fondest memories of prison was prison poker. I spent years playing poker in there, man. Nonstop. You can wake
Did,
up in
did,
the morning and then end it at night.
did you have issues like okay, was there a big divide racially in the prison that you went to? Were there a lot of Nazis? Was there a lot of white power stuff? And was it ever like a temptation that you might have to align yourself with people who you didn't agree with ideology wise?
Nope. And that's one of the big focuses that I talk about on my channel as well, man. It's like a twilight zone from the West Coast.
Mm.
Um, the white dudes, like my whole time being locked up in all these prisons and jails. I mean, I've probably seen a handful of AB Aryan Brotherhood or white groups, and if they were grouped up, they have no power, they have no say. So most white dudes, they were claiming GD folk or
Mm.
stuff like that. Black gangs,
Right.
and everything in jail over here was blended. It was very blended. The racism was there. Trust me, the racism was there, but it was more like hush hush. They'll talk their shit behind closed doors.
Right.
But for the most part, it was blended. And Bloods, Crips, they ran everything pretty much everywhere I was at least. Uh, but no, I was never tempted to join. All my friends on the streets were black, so I mean,
Right.
I really didn't relate to most of the white dudes in there on some things. I still had a lot of white buddies in there, but that's just how it was, man. You know. Uh,
Did you run into a lot of problems, or was it mostly smooth sailing? Like, did you run into a lot of violence, a lot of situations where you really had to prove yourself?
Honestly, man, I said I look back at it, man, and I say it's like by the graces of God because I'm not the biggest guy. You know what I mean?
Wait, how
And
tall are you? Because you seem kind
and
of big to.
I'm only like five. I'm 5'9". I guess that's kind of normal, right?
I mean, you got some biceps on you. You look like you hit the gym pretty consistently, so you don't strike me
I
as like a
haven't,
small
man. I
dude.
haven't been in a while. I haven't been in a while, but 5'9", it's not 5'10" on a good day,
Okay.
But I'm not a big dude, and I would never. I'm always the kind of guy that drama free, and I'm not the guy to start stuff. So I've always, every time I talk to someone, it seemed like they just enjoyed my company, and
Hmm.
uh, I guess a gift of gab, you could say, man. I always showed respect, and I always listened to people's stories. I never really judged them for, regardless if they had a lot of food in the box or if they're making a lot of money. Believe it or not, a lot of inmates will judge you based upon how much money you're getting in jail or prison.
Hmm.
And I didn't care about that stuff, man. I don't know. It's just I got lucky as hell, I guess you could say, man. I mean, there were certain times, when I got to prison where I had to carry weapons and stuff like that. You never know, looking behind your back, what might happen. But for the most part, it was smooth sailings for me, man. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of assumed that about prison is that, a lot of the people who end up in horrible situations in prison, it might largely be because, they're fucking scumbags and they gravitate towards that element. Whereas I feel like if you go in there and you're smart and you're putting yourself out there as somebody who actually could have, a relationship and, connect with people emotionally, have conversations with people, that for the most part, as far as I know, people on earth, if they respect your mind, then they're not going to necessarily want to disrespect you if you're not a disrespectful person.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, yeah. But there's always that little astronomical number of individuals where they just don't give a shit. They'll disrespect you and whatever the case is, regardless of respect or not. And that's just a couple people I happen to avoid.
Mm,
Coming up. Some people, it's just like on the streets. They'll hate you for no damn reason. They might just hate the way you sound, hate the way you look. Haters, man. Even in prison, you'll see them. Uh, but for the most part, like I said, it was smooth sailing. I mean, I got in fights, regardless. I
right.
can guarantee 99% of the time, if you're doing, over a year or so in lockup, you're gonna get in a fight.
Right.
So, but
Okay, so you get out and then you went back in a couple of times. Were those like accidents? Were you sitting in prison thinking like I'm going to get out and I'm going to keep my nose clean and I'm going to get motivated, or were you still like back and forth on the street life?
nah, man, I just couldn't stop smoking weed, man.
Oh, that was it. Damn.
That was it, man. I kept popping dirty for weed, and I got a DUI in the drunken public, and
Ooh.
when you're on probation, you can't catch nothing. At
Mm.
least in Virginia, any charge will send you back in front of the judge, and that's what the case was for me. The third time, they sent me away for was it close a little about 3 years? Was for a damn drunken public, and a
Wow.
DUI. It was crazy. I had a DUI on my record and drunk in public, and that's what it was, man. It was absolutely insane. I couldn't believe. I knew that they were going to give me some time, but I didn't think they were going to give me that much, man. I was hoping to get time served or something, but
So what was that the final 3 years like? Were you extra motivated during that time period? Like I'm
oh
gonna
yeah,
get
man. I
out.
grew
I'm
up
not gonna
when
fuck up.
yeah, I had children then. When I first got locked up, I didn't have no children, so I didn't have no wife. So I was acting crazy as hell, man. Those 4 years or whatever, I was acting really wild. Uh, but the second go round, like my second violation, went in for 6 months. My kids were born while I was in jail. Okay, so I missed their birth, my twins.
Oh,
But
you
I
got
was married.
twins. Holy shit.
Yeah, I got three daughters. I got another one on the way. Should be here around September, man. All girls.
Wow,
But
amazing. That
yeah,
that was
it
God.
is.
God gave you that to change you.
Yeah, it damn sure did, man. And, it did. It definitely opens your eyes, man. But yeah, like when I went there and my kids were born, I tried everything I could to stay out, but I stopped smoking weed. But what I do, I started drinking, and then boom, I
Mm.
got the drinking charges, and fuck, uh, and that went like that. But when I was in there the last time, man, I really matured. Still gamble,
Mm.
still gamble my ass off, but I
But is
was
that a
less.
way to stay out of trouble in jail, or was that just a way for you to keep getting back into shit?
Man, no. I mean, if you want to stay out of trouble in jail, really, you just don't do drugs, man. Don't carry weapons. Don't. If you're in a gang, it's very hard to stay out of trouble. You know what I
Were you
mean?
doing drugs in jail?
I mean, yeah, I smoked quite a bit of weed. Yeah,
See,
that's all I did. I did a story the other day. Uh, I did. I don't know if you ever heard of Love Boat, man. Someone had some laced weed,
uh huh.
Love Boat dippers, PCP, whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was the first time I ever tried it, and I didn't know I was trying it though, man. It was a different high, and it turns out that's what it was. And then that was my first time going around. Uh, but the second time, no, I didn't smoke no weed. All I did was smoke cigarettes because they took cigarettes out of prisons and jails, and I just started smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, and gambling. That's it, man. Working out, that was it. That was my routine. It was a totally different way of life compared to my first time going around. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I mean that always fascinates me when I hear about people getting fucked up in jail because There's a rapper that I'm cool with that is locked up right now, and he's everybody knows him to just be this guy who just drinks crazy amount of lean. And I was having a conversation with somebody. I'm like, man, I wonder how he's doing without being able to get lean in jail. And they're like, "Pfft." They're like, we talked to that fool the other day. He off mad pills right now. I'm like, oh,
Oh
right,
yeah,
that makes sense.
you better believe you can get just about damn near anything you want in there, man. I've seen some of the dirtiest shit. I go on. I've made 300 some videos on my channel talking about the crazy shit I done seen.
Yeah.
Prison's prison, man.